beautiful Boise, Idaho. And it is beautiful out there today. Way too nice for February 5th. It should be cold. It should be rainy or snowy or something, but it's not. It's gorgeous. So I hope it's nice in other places where you guys are at and where those that are going to watch it as a replay are at, wherever you're at, whenever you're at. Drinking a little Gatorade, staying hydrated, and I'm going to eat a couple of crackers here. And Mark, how's your day? And how you feeling? Mark wasn't feeling real great last week.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. Thank you for asking. And weather-wise, it's been another great day, sunny and warm in the 70s, so it's great. Feels like spring already.
All right. Well, we are going to talk about homesteading today. We'll also talk about other questions that people have, if they have them. And I'm wearing my Colorado State University shirt today, sweatshirt, which is near and dear to me because a lot of my money went there for 6 of 8 next generations that went to school there. Had a dental appointment late last week, or was it early this week? No, early this week. It was, it's Monday. And I got some issues. I got a bridge there that is separating from the last molar that it's attached to, and that molar is chipped a little, and it's going to have to be replaced. So that's not fun. And welcome to everybody wherever you're at in the world, as I said earlier. Anyway, we're going to talk homesteading because I'm in the middle of doing that at a new location. Not in the middle, very early stage. And there are so many things that you can do right and you could do wrong. And I've done a bunch of the wrong ones, and I hope I've done a few of the right ones. And so we're going to talk about that. And this ain't my first rodeo, as they say. This will be my 6th or 7th. And we're just going to briefly talk about all of those a little, just to give you perspective that age and wisdom sometimes is valuable, and especially when you're doing something that is requiring some thought about a long-term life for it. And I think real estate has the chance to have incredibly long-term life in terms of your impact on it. And so I'm going to take you back, and I'm going to use Google Earth to do this, to 50 plus years ago, to 1973, 1975, so 51 years ago, when I moved from San Diego to the Moscow, Idaho area, and that's Moscow, not Moscow. Moscow, Idaho is where the University of Idaho is based. And I went there to go into a PhD program. But I'm going to take you one step before that even. And tell you just briefly about the place that we lived in San Diego. I haven't pulled this one up on a map in a while, so this is going to be fun. Let's use Google Earth. That's sort of what we're using as our key here. We're going to get to this site right here, and which is the new site that I am in the planning stages of. I own it, so therefore it's not speculative. It is located near the border of Oregon, and that's about a mile from right there to Oregon, which is right there. I live.
So are you sharing your screen, Wayne? Because we're
Oh
not
no,
seeing it.
that's right. I got to
Okay.
do that. Probably should share my screen. That would be helpful.
Yes.
Second here. See, I got to have Mark, everybody. He's got to keep me on track. Um,
Yeah, glad to be here.
and now you should see it. Is that right? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
So eventually, we're going to talk a lot about this site that we are naming Rockville Stewardship Commons. Mark, you get ready the website to show to people in a little while.
Okay.
And I live about right. Well, I'll show you exactly where I live. Right here. And this photo was taken. Let's even update it. There's April 18th, 2014. We moved in here in 2023 in the fall, so October. This was taken prior to us acquiring this property. And I'll even point out a few things we've changed here. Essentially, I hate it. I've got a dog hair or something stuck in just my mouth, and your tongue's pretty sensitive and can feel it. Um, so this is a horse paddock area. There's a gate going out of it into a large driveway area. Here's another gate going out of that paddock onto a bridle path. Bridle is the name for what you would put on a horse, and bridle paths are used as names for walkways. This is probably 35 to 40 feet wide, and it goes all the way around our subdivision, and every house borders on it in one way. At least one of its borders is alongside the bridle path. And remember, we live in a place that we lived in 40 years ago. And the only difference in terms of the structures on it at that time were sometime after we sold it in 1990, a garage was put on it right here. And so this is new. And this is a garage out in the front here. The barn here is exactly the same as it was, with one exception. There's a porch that goes right here that was not here, but it's not inside, so there's a concrete pad under it. But what's cool is I can show you back in time to show you kind of how this has changed. And this is a use for this program, Google Earth, which if you haven't used it for that reason and you're planning for doing something with property, you should. By the way, you can see the vestige, just pictures will show you things that were there previously. That is small and it's not quite as big as it should be, but that's a circle and this has wood chips on the top of it with a plastic bottom that seals it. And that had some kind of a pin on it, maybe what would be called a round pin for animals. But we actually have even more recent. So here's April 24. We owned it then. That's my dog truck parked in the driveway, and we're a little pixelated, so we'll move away a little bit. This is our fifth wheel horse trailer. This is our fifth wheel flatbed trailer. And there now you're seeing the top to this porch area I was describing. This is our garden area that Deb has now planted. We were parking some structures in it. That's a bobcat that was parked out in the area. There's another one of our vehicles, a truck. That's a Dodge Ram, and that was a pile of some wood cuttings that we'd done for some different things that we had harvested. Since this time, I think there's even a newer one here. Yep, there's January 25. There's even a newer one yet. March of 25. That is the newest, okay? March of 25. That is not even our vehicle. That's Brad's. That's our travel trailer, which when the first pictures were taken was in South Dakota. That's that same Dodge Ram truck. That's a boat that's there. Notice a lot more stuff in here. This is a compost pile over here with all kinds of different aging of compost. This is a chicken tractor, and where chickens or we use it for pigeons. I added a basketball net. Everything else here is pretty much the same. Just keeping going now, let's go backwards. So there's January of 25, and just about a little over a year ago. And notice even last year, we talk about how we have so much little less snow or whatever. Well, we didn't have much last year either. Now, this would be shady areas like this, and that's frost, I believe, on the ground and these shadows of different trees and things. One of the things that was here, though, that came out this year was this tree fell down. If you can remember, I did a webinar when this thing split, this beautiful big tree out here. So again, now as we go forward, it's gone in this picture. That's a shadow of a different tree. So now let's keep going backwards. Again, we moved in 23, so that you saw this one before. Now let's go back to May. We didn't live here then. A little less stuff here. This is our neighbor's stuff on this property. But we're going to kind of quickly go back in time here. We have a dog kennel that's right over here, and it's been in everyone. So this was put in. I wasn't sure of the timing, and so obviously it was there in 22. And it was there then. Look at, and this one, this lot was better cared for in July of 22, and the dog building was there in 22. June of 22, it was there. I don't think it was there. Man, I don't know. That's hard to tell. In 21. Real hard to tell in January of 21, but no snow. January of 21. December of 20, no snow. Also December of 20. Now it's getting a little blurrier. I think that there is no dog kennel there. This picture, May of 20. Much better picture here. Again, there isn't that dog kennel. This was an owner before the people we bought it from. So this is December. Look at how green this field was in December of 19, and it was January of 20. No snow. A year earlier, so that's almost a year apart. Well, it is exactly a year apart. It's rare that that happens, but still really green during the winter here. July of 18, just the summertime, not a lot of difference there. December, okay, the same exact date a year earlier. Now, here's a couple things that we don't have now. I think that's a trampoline they had over there. That's no longer there. This is the fire pit, which we do have, but it's actually better condition here than it is now. We have to improve that, do some upgrades, which that's why these maps over time are great because they can show you how things can be improved or how things have changed with a given property that you might be contemplating doing some things with. Again, 17, no changes there. June of 17, no real changes. All right, look at all these December 31st. There were a lot of them on that day. Nothing real different there. April of that year, nothing different. December of 15, same. Look at, oh, wow, same date again. The satellite image is like December 31st. There was something there, which is probably a chicken coop or something. I think this was now where the trampoline was over here on this side. So that's 11 years ago now. Now 10, just a little more than 10. April. Oh, wow. Every year we're getting this 31st. Yeah, I think that is the trampoline there. Not a whole lot. Oh, yeah, here's a change. There was a fence, much bigger fence around this area, and that's a much bigger tree. So let's go forward. Notice it's now, it doesn't have leaves on it there, but I think you're going to see it's gone. Well, that's just December. You're not going to see it then, but June of 14. Here we go, our favorite day. There's now something different over there. Target's parked here a lot. All right, October, no real changes. August, same year. That's a pool, an above ground pool over there. April of 13. Oh, different roofing. Notice this, that's not even a permanent roof. Let's go ahead. There, it's got new roofing on it. And on this one, that's a, so that now I can kind of know that that roof on that building is probably 13 years old. December 31st, 2012. Here's that swimming pool that's empty, and I think that's a trampoline there. I'm kind of wanting to see when this garage was added on. December 31st, 11. No real changes. This lot's staying pretty much the same. September. There's December 31st, 2010. July. December 31st, 2009. Terrible picture. August 31st, 2008. Better picture. Fire pit still there. All of this is the same. 07. Boy, this 31st is a key date. Remember, we moved in 1990, so we're still 17 years ahead of that. June 07. 06. Great picture here. Gosh, minimal changes. October. really bad picture. December 31st, 05. June 04, bad picture. 03, no garage. Here it is. So let's go forward. Can't tell on this one. Let's go up. It looks like there's construction there. That looks like a hole in the ground potentially. But here we go back, and that's just the old driveway. 23, 28, 3 still. December 31st again, 20 of 02, not 22. Again, you can't really see anything. 01, 10 years before that, or what year before that? 2000, year before that. 99, year before that. 98, 97. Wow, they're all on 31st. 96, 95. Oh, big changes here. These houses behind us are just barely starting to be put in 94 and 95. Let's see if we go forward. Something's happening here. All right, let's see here. 102. All right, so by 03, all these are starting to get built over here. There's vacant places in some of these. And I actually think that it says 02. I don't think this picture changes now. That 01 picture looks just like the 02 did. 2000, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94. These are not changing, everybody. Yeah, this is just something screwy here. That's a different. So we finally had a change. And what changed in our place? Not really anything. And then, 91, can't even see it. 90, can't see it. 89, can't see it. And I think this is just now going through years. And I'm not sure there's even a really decent picture of the area. All rural around here. And if you remember now, if we go all the way forward till today, this is all developed. But now let's go to a whole different place. I don't know how many years we'll go back here. 84 is the earliest. I think this is when they first started to get images. So we're going to zoom way out and see that this city is just, Meridian was developed. If you looked at the new one today, you'd see houses everywhere, all over here. But let's even go where I would have been living in 85, which was here in the valley, but up here, it's not coming in. Would have been up this way, somewhere in here, and we're not going to get it there. We're going to go further up. See when this starts to come in for us. In 92, we were in Colorado, and I'll show that in a minute. But this was our place right here. Let's zoom down, see if we can see it. This is a street called McMillan. This was our place. So in 92, this was our barn. We had a house right up here, and we had 2 acres. This was a pasture, one large tree, all rural all around it. Go forward now. '04 still rural. '05 still rural. '06. Subdivision getting built there. Subdivision getting built here. All built out by 16. Go back again. Not even clear in 85, but you can see it in 92. So now we're going to really zoom out and go to where we lived in 92, because we made that site better. That site, we greatly improved it. Now we're going to go to where we even improved it dramatically more, which was here in the Denver area in Colorado, in Parker. And let's go forward a little bit to where we can see something more. Here we go. We lived right here. So I'm going to go down to it, and we dramatically improved this location. It's too close. But let's go up in time. Oh, not that way. That's not it. I'm at the wrong street. It's actually a little further this way. Let me back up a little here and see exactly where it is. I ended up going to the wrong spot. I didn't go far enough. Wrong subdivision. It's up here. Here is where it is. This is the house that probably most proud of, that we did some pretty cool things with. I still don't have the right spot. I got to get this right. It is this one. Here we go. I had it all wrong. Our heating bills and electric bills on this house, 7724 Arrow Shaft Trail, were at their peak $40 a month. This is a solar room on the front of it, where this is facing straight south. We would have sunlight come in through these windows all along this wall here. We had other solar panels up on the roof here for a hot water system. And down below this, below ground here, was 300 tons of rock underneath this very large footprint house. And if I can get 3D to it, yeah, there's going in a circle and showing it in 3D. This is south facing this way. And we never spent more than 70, and most of the time our heating and cooling bill was under $30 a month. Let's see if we can go a little. Let's go back in time a little more here. Let's get rid of the 3D. Well, that isn't showing it back. We moved in there in 90. So we had it almost 10 years by the time these pictures were taken. And pretty soon, here's 02, but you're going to see that we put a barn right here. There it is in 04. So sometime in the summer of 04, we put a pond right here also. So that went in between January of 03. There was no pond there. And December and September of 04. A riding arena out here, horse stalls here. 05. Now you're not going to see much changes. This place has not changed since we had it years ago. So we greatly upgraded it. We had solar, we put in all kinds of things. We also bought the house next door that's up this way and did pretty major improvements to it. This one. And so we're sort of proud of the fact that as homesteaders, we did some good things. So now we're going to go north of here, and we're in 06, we moved into. We moved from the southeast side of Denver, which is Parker here, up to on I-25 this way to up here in the foothills between Loveland and Longmont. And this is Carter Lake right there. That's about 5 miles, so we're still up in space a lot. And in March of 06, we owned this site where this pond was, and we had started to do at least some road improvement because this did not exist here, this road, when we bought it. And as we go back in time here, I think well, I guess actually we put it in the fall. This one did exist up to the quarry pit. This one here did not. But let's zoom in here a little bit. This is our primary pond, so keep this in mind. This was a sandstone quarry up here, and it was being illegally quarried during this time. And this was a little tent camper for the guy that owned the property, and he would come up here and camp and stay in this trailer. And we bought it in November of 05. So now let's go further. There's October, there's 06. We had not yet really developed anything. August, we were moving in. And actually, I'm surprised we don't see a house here yet. That was when we would have started, and we built this road up the hill, and we were starting to excavate and building a house right there. If you see any questions, by the way, Mark, stop me at any point. A lot farther along in October. This is what we call a neutral site development. We didn't take any soil out of this, and we didn't put any in. And back when I did this, when we lived in Colorado, I showed lots of views of this. This is very steep. The elevation from right here up to above this right there. There's a ridge line. These houses are on the other side of a ridge. That's 700 feet elevation from there down to there, which is Meadow Hollow.
Here's a question. Do you have a conservation plan for your property?
Every property has a conservation plan. Yep. It's written and it's followed. Yep. That's very important. Everybody ought to be doing that on any kind of property. And I mean an acre. If it's more than just some little lot in a city, you ought to be doing that. And so on this side, you go up 700 feet. And then over on this side, you also go up 700 feet to where they're up to, oh, come on, move. There to here. This is a ridge up here, and those are cliffs on this side, is 700 feet. These were the historic quarries that had been mined here all the way back to 1920. So here's what the water part of this looked like when I got it. No water here. This is called Meadow Hollow Creek. You can see that at times there's water down below here, not much. Little tiny ponds here. A little island here, a couple of them. But let's just keep going forward. Oop, oh, wrong way, this way. April of 07, we were living right down here. This is on the top of our house. You're not seeing it there. Let's go zoom there, zoom in more. And Joe Aiken, who's been on different of these, helped build this greenhouse. So our conservation plan for this property involved getting rid of cattle that had overgrazed this pasture area. And if you've watched any webinars that I've done through the years, this is a beautiful, lush pasture now. This is about 15 acres, right, in this side of this loop that are in amazing condition. They weren't back in 08, but over time they got that way. And then this area down here was also overgrazed by cattle that were coming up from this way. So I'll zoom out a little bit more. The cattle farmer was right down here. This was his location. And his cattle would graze all along here. We live on Meadow Hollow Creek right here. And they would graze all the way up this way. So we had moved from this house down here up the hill to this house by February of 08. We moved into this house. So let's zoom down now. And this was going to be our dream house that we would live in for the rest of our lives. Well, guess what? God had different plans. The economy had different plans. And we ended up having to move out of it and sell it to some friends. That's going the wrong way. There's backwards. Well, you can see it's under construction. It took about 2 years to build it. So here was just the foundation. And here in 6 months later, there were starting to be walls. This was, you talk about conservation plan. This house was built with SIPs, structurally insulated panels above ground, which are the most insulated walls that you can put into a home, and ICPs below ground, which is insulated concrete panels, which were all in the lower level, which probably is what we're seeing. That's a floor. This house is 2 levels. This is the second level we're seeing right here. Nope, wrong way. Fully built here by this time. Again, no, snow. Now that is snow that you're seeing here. I think I had built some more ponds though. I started by this time, by February of 10. But not all of them. We build even more here as time goes on and build more down here. This way. Oh, wrong direction. October of 11, Now the ponds are pretty well built out, but not this one. But notice how that's all been now mowed for hay, not overgrazed. We had as many as 350 alpacas living up here. And you're going to see chicken coops get built in the next couple of years, and 15 they were put in up above here. 37 pallet sheds that we had animals in. These 3 here, 4 more here, a whole bunch more here, and then we even added more over time. Here's a summer view of it. The next year is going to be a dramatic change because that's when you're going to see these chicken coops go in up here. Right, there they are, there and there. That's a 50-foot this way and 50 feet this way by 28 feet this way. And now these ponds are more developed. Still haven't built this one. And there's a last house on this road, another one down here. This end, which we've talked about. I'm not going to go into great detail about that, but let's just keep going though. October 17, still haven't built this pond. 19, still haven't built it. 20 have. Okay, so sometime between in the fall, in 19 we had built it. So it is there, not in 17. And this skips a year, actually goes 2 years in between. Notice again how these have been hayed and had a conservation plan associated with them. And a lot of development. We had people living in shipping containers and semis and you name it. It was very planned and over 20 businesses in the area. There's 2000. You're going to see a pretty dramatic change after we move in 2023. So now we're up to 2020, still 20, 21, 23. Haven't moved yet. This is before our move. All right, now, May of last year. It has become pretty exclusively a sandstone quarry now. And look how much more, that's all stored stone. None of those pallet buildings are left. What we call the mobile barn is gone. Chicken coops are still there. There's the 2 of them. Much larger area in which there's quarrying going on. A wedding venue and an event venue down here. That's a golf green where there are 9 tee boxes where you can hit balls. There's one there, there's one there, there's one here, there's one there, there's one there that you can hit out to this golf green. I think that's the last picture, by the way. Yeah, there's no more more recent than that. But huge conservation. And remember, going from here, when we bought it, where it was overgrazed cattle, all of this area, and no planning. Now, we're going to move to Rockville, excuse me, where we're working now. Come on, move there. Maybe, yeah, there it goes. It's going to move. So this site, and we're going to look at this in 3D, it's actually not this many acres. There's another view, but I had this drawing is a little bit off. This actually comes over this way a little. It's 160 acres total, a 40 and a 120. Two creeks, McBride Creek flowing this way and all over into Oregon, and Dead Horse Creek right here flowing down and over and coming into McBride Creek right there. We're going to operate this as a economic business hub, which is just what we did at Mountain Sky Ranch that I showed you last. And by the way, in between the Mountain Sky Ranch and the stuff that I showed you that when we lived here in Idaho before, we had did a very similar thing in a South Dakota location and at a place called Gold Camp in Colorado, where we took bare ground and turned it into a stewarded, managed location. Therefore, that's what we're going to name this new location, Rockville Stewardship Commons. And I'm not going to draw it on here right now, but when you look at this site, I can go to 3D mode here, which is pretty cool because you're going to see the terrain. This is not a steep site like that one that you saw from Colorado, but elevation difference between the highest and the lowest point. And the lowest point is down on the creeks, and it's about 940 feet at the creek bottom, goes up to the high point, which is right about here. It is right there, as a matter of fact, which is 250 feet higher than where the creek is. So this is the steepest part of the property. And it's 73-year-old guy. It's easily walkable for me. The rest of this is relatively flat. Our goal is to have as many as 20 different businesses here, all regenerative ag and regenerative living oriented. The reason these lines look somewhat crooked is, again, we have this in 3D. Property lines will look, let's stop this. I don't know why it keeps spinning. Stop it there. Property lines are made from space and put down onto a flat surface where the ground isn't flat. So remember I said this is the high point. So this is actually uphill from this line to here, not very far, maybe 15 feet elevation higher. So we're going to be putting businesses, and we want to have most of this land left to where we can graze animals on it. And we are surrounded by public ground here. So let's scroll out a little bit. This is the Oregon border right here, which is a mile from the end of our site. From there to there is a mile. And all public land. This is every direction you can take from us. Down just below us on 95 right here, this is our first neighbor. That's 2 miles away. But then in every other direction you go, the next nearest neighbor is over here, right up in this area, and they're about 6 miles away. And then this is BLM all over here. And let's go up in time here. These pictures aren't as good back in the 05 time frame. And you're not going to see any changes. There aren't any buildings. So they're going to change because of more people coming in and moving. Notice lack of change here. All you're seeing is the vegetation change. This is what was exciting to us, is that we have a completely clear canvas to do what we want. Again, Oregon line right there, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. The mountain peaks behind us this way are about 5,900. So they're about 1,900, then higher than at 4,000, which is what these creeks are at. So there's a pretty decent range. There's some the peaks kind of running right through here. Mark, make sure to tell me if there's other questions too here. Notice no change, everybody, still the same. This is just land that's been bare land forever. I'm 2013, 2018, made 13. This one also seems to have every December 31st. There's 10 years ago. This is all irrigated over here. That's why it's green. And my neighbor up the road here has a little bit of irrigation up in this area. And we will, as we get this developed, we'll have a lot of this on McBride Creek here that we'll be able to irrigate. But we wanted it because of its remoteness. And yet, it's only, this is the highway back to Boise, which is, this is looking back this way, is how you get back into the urban area. Marsing is our closest town. It's 15 miles away. And then you start to get into Nampa, which is where we live, 54 to 58 minutes, depending on the traffic. And I showed you this before. This is where we're at, right in, excuse me, right here by this golf course, right down here. And the first things we'll be doing at this place will be dog kennels, because we're going to have a training center for hunting dogs. Alpacas, because we know about alpacas and how to grow them. Goats that we'll use for weed grazing back in the Boise area. So they'll be going in and out. Indoor plants in shipping containers, microgreens primarily that will grow. And then a variety of other training situations. We'll have a stable for horses. And so let me give you a couple of depictions that were done with AI, and we'll probably end with this. Mark, any other questions or anything?
No, I don't see questions yet.
We're going to switch here, and I'm going to show you some AI images of what different things we're going to do. And it's so amazing what you can do with AI today. This is a depiction, and that is what it looks like. And these are those higher mountains that I talked about that are around it, of what this is about 2 acres, not very big, around this. And here is a shipping container, a second shipping container, and then a domed roof over them. Rockville Commons, that won't be exactly. AI makes lots of little mistakes, and you really have to catch them. Like there's a mistake in the way that it did this M on the sign. And I didn't tell it what font to use. And that 2000 is just kind of saying, well, that's when it was established. No, not really. It's established this year. Do you see a problem and a difference between this fence and this one? What do you see, Mark? What's different about this fence and this one?
I think the gap between the the different yeah, the gap between different lines.
Yeah. This is a 3-rail fence. This is 2 rails. And I had told it to make it 3. And it did do 3 up to right there. But notice it goes back to 2 here. This is all 2 all the way around here. So, yeah, it makes little mistakes, but it's wonderful to help you plan because I could not have visualized what this dog kennel would look like without this picture. And it is in the right perspective. It's shown the way that it really will be.
Yeah, gives you a plan.
I'm just going to show you some others. Here's with the dog kennel put back further. And it actually has what's called an airing yard behind it. This is before I told it to put in the horse store, where the paddocks for the horses were. And notice it is two rails all along here, Mark.
Yeah.
So it was accurate doing this. I don't know why it put 6,500 in here. But that McBride Creek Road, the one that was on there, is right back here. And it's actually a much nicer road than what this is showing. But this is very accurate for this. There's no way I could have visualized it that way. Here's a more close-up of it. And this is the way, that's a cedar fence that I asked it to put around the outside of it. And I didn't ask it for ones in the inside, although it makes sense. I actually like them. I didn't ask it to put windows on the building, but I like that also. It makes sense to have a little bit more light in it. This is not exactly what my dog truck looks like, but it's pretty close. Here's a close up. And it did something that, again, I told it to have these drain to the back. So there'll be a little narrow trough all along the back, right in front of the shipping container building, where when you clean the kennels and you spray, the water will collect here and then it'll go out, and then we'll be able to take it into a drain and go to a septic system. I didn't tell it to put the center section down lower, but it did it on its own because it makes sense that you'd want to drive a little bit. So this is like 3 inches lower.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Really
nice.
smart. And this is generally what in the winter the country right along around here looks like. And what dogs look like. It's pretty realistic. So we are right almost at the top of the hour. I think I'll end on this. Oh, where are we going to put this? Let's go back to this drawing here. This. So now let's zoom in. Come on. Come on. Computer's moving slowly. We have relatively flat areas on the property here. Well, that's washed out. I didn't realize it. It's washing this. What year was this? I'm going to get a different picture. There. All right, that's much more realistic. Let's even go. I think there's all the way up to this year. Nope, this is the last one.
Yes, it's a bit greener.
Yeah, we have a well that is right here. We have a second well that's right over here. This area here, all of this and this is almost dead flat. This is where the old historic stage stop for the ghost town of Rockville was, right here. That's the footprint of what the building was there. So that's 30 by 80. It has a 19-room stage stop. So this is one area that we could use to build what would be our building portion of the site. This is a ridge and a hill. It goes up about 60 feet in elevation. This is the peak of it, right through here, running over to this. So that's the peak right up there. And then this goes down into this creek, which, so this is up a hill. We would not be able to build it, wouldn't want to build on this. This is the lower area. And this is lower, as I said, over here. And then this is lower. There's the hill in the middle. And then this is lower over here, because this is another ridge up this way. So, right, it's not nearly as big down here. This is probably lower down to, there's actually a tree right down here, right here, that is where the lower area is. And so the lower area is all of this that we could build on over this way. I noticed something that I hadn't seen before. What do you think this was at some point, everybody? That was a pond.
Okay.
Long time ago, but that's pretty obviously somebody created a pond for that, for this creek here. Again, there's where the that stage building. I rotated this image as we were looking at it here. So then one last fairly flat area is actually up here. Any of this area up this way, there is a little draw running here, but all of this is relatively flat. I mean, it's got a little bit of a reduction. There's probably a 10-foot elevation drop from there to there and here to here. So again, another place to be able to do easy sort of development on it, and what we would probably think about. This particular day, this picture was taken. Somebody was here with truck and parked in that area. We'll put ponds in on the property in places. This is another place where it looks like there was absolutely a pond at one point. And the stream, we won't mess with the stream. This will be able to be groundwater. It's all around here. We'd be able to put a pond in there. This, by the way, is a fence line, which we will leave a portion of it in. We'll take some of it out. Another place we can put a pond is right here, where that's another place that there's a little shelf over here, and we could have it next to the pond, next to the creek. And then right below where the road goes across, this is actually flooded here, not so high that you can't drive through it, but this is another place that would be a great place for a pond. And this is actually fairly flat right here. This is another place we could develop. We don't really want to develop right along the road, though. And the well I was telling you about is right, either this or this, one of these two. And the second well is right here. And again, this is a relatively flat area right here. As it is here, up to here, the hill starts here and starts going up. So this is much more elevated, going all, not steep, but going uphill all the way to the top of the property up here. And this is all on a hillside up here. Great place for grazing, maybe doing some terraces, like Mark Shepard teaches. Like that's a hillside. You can even see the steepness of it going up and over the ridge. And the peak of that one is up here higher. That's actually a peak there. You can tell that's the top of a peak. But we could put terraces, berms and swales around like this and like this. And talking about a conservation plan, that's what you would do to preserve water that would be running off of this hillside, not letting it just go all the way down to this creek and become completely unusable. You can also put some ponds down here. I think we would do this much later in our process, however. Now that's off our property, so we wouldn't put them there. But we could do one like right here that's on the property. All right, any other questions?
Alicia says, hope our links will help
What's
us.
that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Alicia says, I hope the video links will help you and your team. Yep. So she has some links in there. So that'll be really helpful for us. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Alyssa.
those for the information.
There's a really cool single tree right down here in this corner, because this is low all the way as this Dead Horse Creek flows through here. So this is a good potential development area for where we might put some of our infrastructure, our kennels. So that kennel building, the way that fixture showed it, the kennel building was right in this area here. All right, well, we will end it for the day. Love all you folks, appreciate you, and have a great rest of your week. And we will see you next week.